outset of your conversation that you had with us, you quoted Audre Lorde in saying, without community, there is no liberation.
That's right.
And in that moment, I held it and I wrote it down. And then you started telling us of the time when you are now finding yourself in, were you in Thailand?
So based in Singapore, but it was Southeast Asia. So I was doing Malaysia, Indonesia. Yep.
Okay, so you're in Southeast Asia. Yeah. You're 20 years old.
Yeah, 20.
And you are feeling all these feelings, and you tell the people who are your leaders and who love you, who are supposed to love you. And they come at you reminding you or telling you that you are a deceiver. That is a weird response to me, but anyway. And in that moment, I thought, without community, there is no liberation. This was your community, and you were removed of community in that very second. Take us there.
Yeah. But it was so familiar to me, Shay. Like that feeling of alienation. Oh man, you're gonna get me crying.
That's all right. I'm here. I got my Kleenex this time. I'm not gonna be held out like here like that.
I can use mine. That feeling. That's right. Yes. That's what that's for. It was so familiar to me. That feeling of almost, but not quite, right? Like I was an outsider looking in always on community. And I think that's what drove me to try so desperately to gain God's attention, God's affection, God's love, right? To become a worship leader, to become a youth pastor, to go as far as I could to the ends of the earth to share the gospel, right? And so in that moment, what's wild is that it was no different than what I'd already been experiencing, and it was almost like I had been conditioned to want that from them.
Oh my God.
To want to be rejected, to want to hear them say, not good enough. That is some fucked up shit. That
royally.
is deep trauma. And the thing is, that's also, Shay, why I understand, and so some of my clients, and I always have conversations when I work particularly with black women. I always have conversations, and black trans folks, and anyway, just people of color. I have conversations with them. I am white. Yep. I want to acknowledge that I am white.
Sure.
Right? I am not going to be able to give you what another black woman, another black man, another brown would be able to give you, another Latina, another. And so the thing that I do know is that what connects us, and this was Audre Lorde, and that's why I even gave thanks to her in the middle of my talk, is Audre Lorde was the one that broke this wide open for me. There's no hierarchy of oppressions. But that's not to say that at any given time, one of these oppressions is actually the one that we need to be standing for more than any, right? So Black Lives Matter, I'm right there with you. I'm
Absolutely.
holding, you know what I mean? So reproductive rights, so the Women's March, I'm right there in the Women's March. You know, I'm non-binary. I mean, I do identify as, I love my vagina. I just wanted to say that.
Yes. I love it too. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, not mine. She doesn't love mine. She loves hers, and we do love each other. We honor each other, and we have. You know,
okay.
I mean,
so
we're here for
good Lord. Oh, Lord. Baby, we okay? Okay.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just checking on my partner.
Right.
Okay.
Check on it. I promise. Not transgression.
What are
here.
we saying? Yes. What are we? Oh,
but no, it was in that moment though when you're saying that you wanted the rejection from them. You wanted that.
Yes. That we'd been trained.
Because you expected it.
Yes.
So why did you even tell them?
I like you, Shay. Yeah. Okay, so here's why. Because I told you this whole culture of confession, right? The shame machine. It was like, I thought, is this when I'm going to get free finally? Once and for all. If I tell them, if I say this thing that I haven't told anybody ever before.
If you sacrifice it.
Pharmacon.
Oh my God.
Pharmacon.
Yes, I get it.
This shit's cool, isn't it? So the thing is, I thought to myself, I'm going to go all the way this time. I'm going to go all the way this time. I'm going to say the thing that I've never said to anyone before.
I'm going to Goonies those motherfuckers.
I'm going to chunk the hell out of them right now.
Tell them everything.
So you inspire me. I just had to go. Okay. But what's interesting is that, so all those years prior to, Shay, I had been sneaking women in and out of my rooms. I'd been using the gospel. I mean, this was the other weird thing, right? When I said hashtag Jesus is my wingman.
Your cock blocker.
And also Christ the cock blocker. Jesus is my wingman because I'd be like sharing the gospel with people.
Hello.
And also the gospel with people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then we'd be like, and then we would never talk about it.
Right.
But we would do the thing, and then the next morning I would wake up and I'd get down on my knees and cry my fucking brains out, and then I would go on, read the Bible passage, God please forgive me, and it was this cycle, right? So I thought, to get back to your question, I thought that if I told them, I could actually get free. I was ready to get free at that point. Get free, right? I thought, okay, if this is ever gonna get any better, I have to do it right now.
Did you really feel like it was something that you could choose?
Yeah, okay, so that's a great, so when we talk about compulsory heterosexuality, right, when you're told, and it was deeply ingrained, like I'm talking, like this neural pathway was like.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that whole like lock and key thing, the whole, like the biological argument, I was like, oh, of course. Right? Yes, definitely. Sex is only meant for procreation. Right? Because pleasure was associated with shame.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the same way with masturbation. Anytime I would masturbate, this is so fun talking about masturbation here.
Yeah. It is.
But oh, I don't want to open my legs. So I was about to, when I would masturbate, let me show you how. I'll do a demonstration.
I love you.
Okay. Oh my God, I just looked over at my partner. She knew I was about to go somewhere else, and she goes,
Don't. Button it up, girl. Button it up. No.
What?
Unbutton it, girl. Unbutton it. No. I was just talking about, like, why would you have shared it with them? And then what were you hoping to, in that moment? You're like, I was hoping that I would be free. And then I said, well, did you really think it was a choice? Because at that point, so you're going through the neurological part about these pathways. This shit is ingrained in you that you actually think. This breaks my heart, by the way.
Well,
it should break every one of our hearts.
So to me, Shay, did I interrupt you?
No.
To me, it became like a logical thing. Like I have kind of, so I'm extremely analytic. I mean, you could tell by what I ended up, the degrees and everything.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like almost scientific, the way that they had explained it. So let me tell you this too. The other piece of this is, and this is a big thing in reparative therapy, for those, anybody in here a survivor of at all? Yeah, we do.
Oh my God. I'm going to touch on that because that's us who've never had that awful, horrific, trauma-induced experience. I just want to tell you guys I'm terribly sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. So they look for the root, right? And so for me, it was parental inversion and substitute mate. So I had become, this is fucking
What does that mean?
I'm about to tell you.
Yeah.
It is so fucked up. But it's so insidious. In the way that they are able to appropriate scientific or pseudo-scientific language and these concepts, when you're so young and really, really just a sponge and ready to believe what anyone is right? People you trust, your community, right? Because you think, so parental inversion means that I became my mother's parent. I'm not gonna go into my mom's stuff now.
That's right.
But so I parent her. And substitute mate, my mother and father were not such a good relationship, and my mom confided in me often and sought my support and guidance, and so from 8 I have memories of my mom sharing things with me, and and Kendall, I've talked about this, the emotional incest piece, but for me hearing that is a kind of a trigger because of how it was manipulated. Anyhow, so what they said is then, in your relationship with your mother, you got everything but the marriage bed. And so you then are now pursuing sexual relationships with women because you didn't have that with your mom. And so now there's a hunger inside you that is driving you to do this. And I mean, honestly, even saying this right now to you, I don't even want to say it to you because I don't want anyone in here to think that there is anything true about this that is an absolute lie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, as I'm saying this, I'm like, shit, I don't want y'all to know this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want anybody to have to hear this.
I get it.
But the question that you're asking.
So then, yes, you actually did think.
Yes.
I chose this. Like I essentially, I just need to work through some healing so that I can choose better and differently.
So then they kept me in it, right? To get healed, get more healed, more exorcisms, more money, more time, more reparative therapies. And so it was Exodus, LL, Love One Out, Living Water. I mean, I can go on and on. I went through all of them. Did you
find these places or were they found for you? I'm curious.
Yeah, good. So initially, I won the first one in Singapore. They led me there, and then from there,
they have this in Singapore.
Yeah. Oh, it's international. Yeah, it's international. Exodus is international. Love One Out is international. Yeah. Here's the thing though, with everything that's happened with Exodus, and you all probably know, right? So many of the leaders have come out and are apologizing for what they've done to harm thousands, possibly millions of people, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really know how they're doing now. I haven't been following them, but I do know that some things have shifted and other things have not.
How are they funded? Just real quick. Are they funded by gifting? Like, do people give, or are they like money-making operations? Like,
donations. Go ahead. You were going to say. Yeah, Focus on the Family. Oh, that was the other one that I did. Yes, because that's Love One Out is through Focus on the Family, right? Yeah.
Okay.
And what? And we also paid, that's right, we paid our way through the camps and I remember going, sorry? You pay your own? Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah, thousands of dollars. I remember going to Azusa Pacific and I actually, while I was there, met someone.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were like, oh, Jesus. Which, by the way, I don't actually do the whole praise Jesus thing anymore. And I consider myself kind of post-Christian.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
So,
but then you could still feel, I think it's what Reverend Naomi was speaking about yesterday too. There's still, you said something too at the onset of this, when you said there's something uniquely healing though of being in this space. And so what Reverend Naomi was speaking to yesterday was that clearly we got a whole bunch of questions and there's different places that we land on this right now, right? Because it wasn't the same boat that brought us here. But she feels a unique connection yet to Jesus and has to do it through her own interpretation. And so I think that's what you're saying. Yeah, I get it. And it's still yet not weird for this to be a healing space. It's a healing space for me that this is even I did not know a community like this existed. This is remarkable for me. There's so many things I want to say. So I really want, the reason why I asked about, did you really think it was something you can change, is because that seems to be the foundational thing that a lot of the evangelical people come at this with. Like, it's like this choice. And by the way, I remember liking my first boy at 4 years old and trying to stand next to him for nap time so we could be paired off to lay next to each other. No one taught me that. I just wanted to be next to Ryan, right? And so
I was just as young.
That's my point. That's my point.
Just as young.
And yet we obligate. It seems like we obligate a necessity of choice only to gay people. We do not obligate it to straight people.
That's exactly right.
We somehow just naturally do it.
Well, because the assumption is heterosexuality, which I do think comes from the origin myth, right? And this is what Glissant talks tons about this, right? The way Genesis functions as this origin myth that then explains everything for everyone. And because it's been interpreted through the eyes of Western European, Christian, what? Oh, you got. Oh,
I got some questions.
Okay.
Keep going.
No, I mean, I think that's the thing is that it becomes the root myth. And so then everything is filtered through this. And so for me, there could only be Adam and Eve, right? And that's the thing is that it took me in so many ways, and this is why deconstruction and post-structuralist theory, post-colonial, that became so important to me, because I was able to begin to parse out and pull apart and problematize these texts and actually go through, right? Ideological criticism is saying, wait a second, who does this benefit?
Right.
Who does it benefit?
Levon asked that same question. Who does it benefit?
But that's ideological. I mean,
Yeah.
but, and that's the thing is, right, when you go and a bunch, exactly, right? And when you go, and that's the thing that I love, and Levon and I were talking about this too, right? It's like you end up just being exposed to all these other, when you get an education beyond the church, right? I only had access to what my Baptist minister, who was no doubt at that point pre-white Christian nationalist, was still a white Christian nationalist. He's preaching all this stuff,
Yeah.
right? And he doesn't have a degree.
Right.
What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing teaching me a text that is thousands of years old?
Yeah.
You have no idea what it says in the original context. You don't know the context, and you think you're going to apply this with no emendation? What the fuck are we doing right now, too,
But
with the
doesn't Jesus
Constitution?
speak in the King James?
Damn right.
Right. Right. Like I've heard people like, no, only that. You're like, are you kidding me? Do you even think that was the language that it was written? Okay. I didn't even realize that someone thought that.
Which is why it then became so important for me, as I realized that there were so many words, that the semantic range was so much wider. I was like, you could have chosen to interpret this anyway.
Any kind of way.
And that's why you did. And that's who it serves. And this is who is sacrificed.
Did you
as
see
a
that
result.
meme just recently on like Instagram or TikTok, and it said 2,000 years from now, no one will be able to decipher the difference between booty call and butt dial?
Yeah!
Right? Right?
Bingo.
Right?
Bingo.
So like so do you,
Bingo.
to act like you can sit with this moral authority over interpreting something that was brought together by vast amounts of people over time and space and nations, but now all of a sudden you understand booty call and butt dial? Like, I got it. I was like, oh, that is actual gospel. You know, everything you're saying is just, it's making me really sit in the space that it seems like all of these interpretations, all of these things and ways in which we are bound in this belief in this very white American Christian faith, seem to be fear of hell, to escape hell. Everything's to escape hell. When were you able to sit in the space of Dr. Paige Rawson, queer, brilliant, beautiful, love God, love spirit, embodies God, embodies spirit, and know that hell was not your home?
Okay, so yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. I mean, honestly, it was in realizing that Thanatos, the words for hell were actually from what? From yes.
From what?
But here's the thing. So the trash heap, Gehenna. The Gehenna is trash heap. But Thanatos, the words for hell in the Bible, P.S., they're all coming from Greek mythology. All of them. All of them. In Judaism, there is no hell. Are you hearing me?
Okay.
There's no difference. Everybody goes to the same place if you go anywhere at all.
Okay.
And that's the thing, is that what I started to realize as I was reading the Greek, actually, right, I'd gone to Berkeley to study Greek, and I'm reading the Greek, and I'm going, what the actual no way?
Wow.
You told me this book was pure. This is pagan shit all up in here. All this was just ripped out of the pages of Greek mythology and placed in this text, and you appropriated that too. You appropriated the faith, that whatever that faith Jesus was at, you empire, you appropriated that faith too.
Ooh.
What, you turned this into a colonizer's religion, a religion that will enslave, right, mentally and physically enslave, when Jesus was anti-empire, was an iconoclast. Jesus, you killed him. You murdered him because he was such. And now you're going to take the religion and you're going to utilize it to manipulate people and to control them and to tell them that you have power and that you're God and that they're not. Fuck you.
How old were you when
I
you
am
had
God.
that? Yes.
20.
That's powerful.
Oh, come on, Shay. It's a journey. How old was I?
Yeah. The reason why
Probably
is
my
because-
late 20s, early 30s. Late 20s, early 30s.
Because I think that captures a lot of people. I think that holds a lot of people hostage. Like, you feel, you can feel that things, you can know that something is wrong, but you feel it in your body, and you can't stop your body from feeling it. You know, you can know, I am beloved of God. I am not going to hell. But you still feel the fear of it in your body. And so that's why, and I know that holds a lot of people. So I just wanted you to be able to speak to when you walked into a space of freedom on that. And what I'm hearing you say is, when I started looking to the original language text, I started recognizing this thing that they held over me as in this economy, if you will, this thing that they're bargaining with me all the time. Was not even a real thing.
Not even a real thing.
Yeah.
There's no hell. I don't believe in hell. I believe that we are creating hell, and the reason that they constructed that hell is so that we will not actually be so pissed off that we'll do something about the hell that we're living in right now.
Oh my God.
Right? It's to try to pacify us. It's to try to control us.
Yes.
And that's the thing, is you keep me looking away. It's the same thing. It's what happened with it's what the enslavers did
100%.
to enslaved Africans. Right? I'm going to give you this gospel. I mean, that's why I have such an issue with like substitutionary atonement. I mean, we were talking about this, right? Songs about Jesus' sacrifice. And I hate to say this because I honor the fact that, I don't know if I should say this.
You can. This is safe. They made me feel like I was safe.
Don't sing a song about Jesus as the Lamb of God and appropriate someone else's language. When you the blood of Jesus, the blood of those people on the land because of this gospel.
Right.
Not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. And that's the thing, is it's like I don't want to be a part of that. I mean, that's why I left the church. I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of something new. I want to be a part of something different. I want to be a part of something I want to be, my colleague of mine, Angela Yarbrough at To Home Publishing right over here, we're actually doing a retreat in January called Queer Spirituality, and we're starting this whole thing.
I love it.
And I know that there are pockets of people doing this everywhere, but we are actively involved in creating new community.
Well, I did not know there were pockets of people doing this everywhere. So.
Okay, maybe not everywhere, Angela. Maybe just us. Maybe not.
But it's magical. I think when you said that, as a black woman who's from the Bahamas, that's when I first remember thinking, like I remember them being like, God is going to rain down his judgment on America, gays getting married. I was like, but he was all right with you owning my black ass and murdering me?
Bingo! Exactly.
He didn't keep his grace and his goodness back then?
Where was it?
But all of a sudden now, these people love each other. And them being married, that's going to be the thing that really just burns the nostrils of God? Not the fact that my people were murdered, systematically? He was all right with that?
Yes.
Then I'm not all right with that God. And that became very difficult for me. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, Shay.
You can't be all right with that. Yeah, I love it. You know, I know I just went there, y'all.
I'm so happy, but that's exactly fucking it, though.
Yeah, it's something. So you walk into the space where now you're not going to be held back on this fear of hell. Tell me what it feels like to be in relationship with God without all of that anchor and jewelry that held you captive and held you down to shit that wasn't even real.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just want to praise you.
Yes. Yes. When did you get to that space?
That 100% came from me every fucking day, like loving the shit out of myself. I have to wake up. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. And so God had to be God in me. God had to be God in me. I could not understand God outside of me any longer, because as long as God was outside of me, God was Santa Claus, God was Donald Trump, God was Joe Biden,
oh my gosh.
God was, you know what I mean? And God was not going to save me.
Nope.
God was not going to save me. And that's the thing, is like, even Jesus, I think Jesus, the idea of Jesus was appropriated, but anyway, so for me, it's God is here. Right? I will testify to love in being exactly who I am, because this is an act of worship.
Yes.
This flesh, this sexuality, this sensuality, this physicality, right? This this reality, right? And so that's the thing is like, Shay, God is you. I have to tell you something. This is, okay, so yesterday, when Naomi was reading Color Purple.
Yes.
So when I was 14 years old, I read that book for my AP English, or I don't know, do it, probably other people. So I read this book, and I read it over the summer, and I read it by myself before class started, and my mind was blown.
Blown, I remember.
My mind was blown, and I was like,
Shug Avery.
And I wrote a paper on Shug was Jesus, right? Shug was Jesus.
Yes.
And I was like, Shug.
Yes.
Because Shug came and touched me.
Yes.
Do you know? And even at that time, I was like, is it okay if I'm a white person and I'm like, is that right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I was like, Shug. And Shug let me know that it was okay to touch my button.
Yes. Yes.
You know? And Shug let me know that it was okay to have a woman touch the inner thigh.
Yes.
And the small of my back.
Yes.
And to feel right in the color.
And Celie is this unlovable figure, like this ugly figure that is just, it breaks my heart. She is cast to the side. She is not seen or appreciated. She is murdered and raped from the time she is a baby girl. And she was deserving of that love and that affection and touch.
And it was so, extravagant.
It is extravagant. And you said that. You said that about God. You said that about that love. And that is what, and you also said, there's nothing more queer than faith.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the more that I thought about it, right, I was like, okay, wait, this thing that is perfected in weakness, right? This, like the power, by faith, right? Power is perfected in weakness. And the lower brought high, the higher brought low, right? Captive set free, right? All these inversions.
Yeah.
And I was like, if you look at faith, right? Not religion, not the commodification of faith or the institutionalization of faith, but like faith, that thing that lives and moves, right? And breathes in us. I was like, that's a fucking queer thing.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it is counterculture. And it can't be contained.
And it's oblique.
It's oblique. It transgresses.
Boundaries and lines.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I'd never heard that until today, and I appreciate it. Yeah.
And so that's how I was like, instead of queer as fuck, I was like, queer as faith.
Yeah.
I'm queer as faith.
Yeah.
But like we all are, so it's okay. And I don't think that queer becomes this now umbrella term that loses all value because we're going to use it for everything. But also, I don't care. Go ahead and do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You go ahead and appropriate. I don't. It's fine. You know. But
Black is beautiful. I say it.
Do you see what I'm saying? Yes.
Use it.
Yes. Yes. So it's like I feel like if we then can move to a place where we're able to see queerness in this way, right? We then have access to a more, I think, expansive understanding of humanity, more diverse embodiments of love, sexuality, gender, family.
And how can that be bad? I'm just trying to understand. How could that be bad to have a more expansive knowledge and experience in love for more people? It's like, our daughter speaks Japanese fluently. She went to immersion school from the kindergarten until 9th grade. She reads it, writes it, speaks it. I happen to have married into a white American Christian family, so a bunch of racists. I mean, honestly, that's what they are. It's like hand in hand. Like, no one's shocked if I said, anytime anybody knows that my husband's white and that he's American and from Georgia, everybody everybody says, how's his family? The fact that they understand automatically that his family would have a problem with me and know that that is the normal stance in a Christian space. Do you hear how fucked up that is? That is crazy. Why was I telling you that? I hope
you know, because I'm just all over the place.
I can't remember why I was telling you that, but there was a reason.
Oh, queer.
Oh, so Japanese. Thank you.
Yeah, wait, I
go. We need each other.
Thank you.
Liberation community.
So the reason why I said that is because when you were saying what this expansive nature of what you now have relationships, people, love, God, how is that wrong? And I said, our daughter, she speaks Japanese fluently, and it was really important for me that my child or children, however many I would have, spoke multiple languages. Yeah. And I remember my husband's mother being like, "Well, why? Why do you want her to speak Japanese?" And I was like, "Why not?" Like, you get to now communicate with a whole nother subset of human beings. Why would that be bad? And she was like, I'm okay, I just, you know. But it was just interesting to me that the modality of their thinking isn't one for expansiveness. No, it literally kind of threw her that I would even want my daughter to be able to communicate with more people.
Which is so ironic, because that's the thing, is the whole, yes, and the whole colonial framework, right, is in fact about expanding. Yeah. But it's not expanding to enrich and to elevate and to enlighten. Mm-mm. It's expanding to consume.
Rob.
And to transform to do life.
Yeah. Bingo. Yeah. But then what I was thinking is, I was like, what the fuck, man? Mm-hmm. If you could paint in all the colors of the rainbow, all the colors of the rainbow. If you could paint in all the colors of the rainbow, and you know every single different like genre and style, and wouldn't you do it all? Wouldn't you want all of it?
Correct.
Why would you limit it to just one particular style, one particular mode, one particular generation, one particular color, what the fuck?
Why to call back the color of purple?
Please do.
I think that it would just make God, piss God off if you were to walk by a field and see the color purple and not at least acknowledge it, right? So like, that's why that color blindness, which white people get on my nerves and make me very exhausted when they go there. Yep. But when they're like, I don't see color. And I'm like, do you have an ocular problem? Are we talking about an ocular issue? Yeah. If that's really what's happening here, then this is unfortunate, because you're missing out on a lot of things. But if we're not talking about an ocular issue, I'm not understanding why you can see the difference between a sunflower and a red rose, but somehow now you don't see my color or what you have created for me. Yeah. This is insane to me. So I just love the expansiveness of what you're talking about. There's another question I had, you guys. I just kept writing them down. I know I have 4 more minutes. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. There it is. I'm so sorry. Yes, come on. Come on.
Okay.
No.
So you talk. I don't need a microphone. I got a built-in.
Come on, Trinity.
All right. So at the end, you were starting. Oh, there are people on the thing. Okay. So. Oh wait. I'll be patient.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was doing people.
Oh, I was just
towards the end, you were using language around. You brought up language that people have used around the demonic. And for those of us who are still in the institution, I feel like I need you to say more around how we can de-weaponize that.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's so good, Trinity.
Great
I'm
question.
so happy you thought about that, because, okay, so I want to say, so the word Hasatan, are you familiar? You know. Okay, so you know the whole background. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and show this. Okay, so first of all, so when we talk about constructs, right, these are things that were created. They're not actually essential or originary or anything. So the idea of Satan, this notion in Hebrew, Hasatan, right, it actually, do you know what it means?
No.
Adversary. Come on, go ahead. Is that what you're gonna say? Go ahead, say it. Yes, exactly. Okay. So the idea then of Hasatan, it's not an entity. It's not one thing, okay? Hasatan is actually how someone can operate as the Satan, the Satan,
the adversary.
Right? Yes, the adversary. So this word was used actually more often about one character in the Bible than any other. Who was it? God.
Oh.
God would stand in the way of people to have them go a different direction, or the angel of the Lord, the representation of God, right? So there is, in fact, no Satan in what we know in Christianity as the Hebrew Bible. No Satan. There's no figure of Satan, right? That's been conflated with Lucifer, right? With the idea of Lucifer, this angel that's fallen. Trinity, you already know this stuff, so you want me to go further. Okay. So this is good. This is good. So when we think then, as we're moving into the New Testament and what's happening, right, is that Jesus is coming against this adversary. As we look at any hero's journey, there is always going to be an obstacle. There's always going to be an adversary, and often that's who Satan was in the New Testament. So when we look at demonic oppression in the New Testament, the word that we now use for epilepsy is the word that is used, you know about this too, that is the word that's used when people have these oppressive demonic sort of seizures.
Okay.
Right? They were, in other words, these seizures are now what we understand, because we now have modern science, as epilepsy. And so people would writhe and would shake, and they would say back then, not knowing any better, that they were possessed by the devil. Right? So this, what?
I said, this is where I want you to go.
Yeah.
They didn't understand it.
They had no idea. They had no idea.
Responsibility.
Say, go.
The church has a responsibility then to help them understand.
Say, go ahead.
Yeah, we as the church they didn't understand it, and so they called it demonic.
Go ahead.
And so we as the church have an opportunity, a responsibility to bring into the light what is this queerness that is goodness. It is not demonic. You just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've been taught, to fear what we don't understand, right?
Yeah.
We've been taught to fear what, and that makes sense. And that's a thing that I want to say too, right? I mean, a lot of times it's a trauma response for them too. And that's the thing is I've been trying to have more compassion because I have so much holy rage.
I get it.
So much holy rage.
Maybe you felt the backhand of the rage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely necessary, because that's coming from dignity, right? And injustice. I'm like, fuck this. I'm not putting up with this. But also then to realize that what happens if I can offer, I mean, this is classic Desmond Tutu, right? Like really moving into, as we think about apartheid in South Africa, and it wasn't even until the 90s, right? The 90s.
I know.
And Tutu's like, we got to forgive, because I don't want to be held captive. I don't want to be in bondage to this, even if they don't say they're sorry. So I think the thing that what I'm saying to you is I completely agree with you, and you're preaching the message, and I want to support you in doing that, because that's exactly what it is it's just not understanding. It's not having exposure. It's not having relationship. It's the fear of the unknown, right? And that's what we do, right? We, like you said, we threaten them. And I don't want to put any more stress or pain or trauma or emotional labor on our backs. Again, Audre Lorde has a great exposition on this, right? Because black women so often are expected to do that work, to teach the white women, right? And so that's the thing, is that I don't want to say, and now we too have to do this, but we are way more evolved. Oh, I said it. We are way more evolved.
For sure.
Because of the work that we've had to do.
Absolutely.
Because we now have survived in an inhospitable environment.
100%. Yeah, I always say that blackness for me in
Go
this
ahead.
life has made me a better human being. It has. It's made me show up more fuller, more compassionate. Simply. It's not that black is better. It's that the experiences that are created when you are this can have the opportunity to create the best kind of fucking person you ever met in your life.
Ever.
Right, and I realize that.
Ever.
Any difficult, and also simplicity too. I know with the Hasatan that you just taught us, also it was dawning on me like, that's just good storytelling. You have to have an adversary, right?
That's the hero's journey. That's exactly what it is.
Journey.
We're all invited into that. And so the hero, so ultimately, right, facing Hasatan means that we then go to an abyssal period. We are dark, we are down, we're depressed. We don't know if we'll ever come out, right? This would have been then Jesus on the cross, in the tomb. Is he coming? We don't know. We're left in mystery. And then boom, he's resurrected. And this is the story. And this is our cycle. And this is all of us over and over and over and over and over again. And we can live this together. And we can encourage each other through, right? There's so much more.
I know.
God,
I know we got to go because we're supposed to set you guys up. But Dr. Page, y'all, is she not just delicious?
Thank you.